So where do you start with Instagram? You start with Tom Leveen. Without further ado, I welcome Tom Leveen, and we are just going to switch mics and switch computers, and we'll get started.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. So yeah, Sheri gave a great overview of some of the stuff that I have done. I will add to that I have 22 years background in theater as an actor and director, did 5 sessions of actor training at the Utah Shakespeare Festival. I've owned and operated 2 different theater companies here in town, one for 13 seasons, and then we had a mixed-use arts venue for 3 years in South Scottsdale that was really cool. And then all of this kind of stuff, some of which we will talk about in a moment. Obviously, I'm a novelist. Most of my work has to do with writing novels, and I did all that work. So you saw the 2 campaigns. I ran a campaign for Heartless, and I ran a campaign for A Little Insurrection now and then. Did all of that work, all those hours. Does anybody want to guess how many sales that netted me? Any guesses? Bonnie, what was that? 1.
25.
It was 1. You're right. That was 1 sale. Oh my gosh. Then why the hell are we listening to you, Tom? You sold 1 book after all that work and the color thing. What's the deal? I'm going home. Don't go home yet. I'll tell you why.
Sorry, Tom.
I'm assuming, well, I mean, it's already in the PowerPoint. I can't lie. Like, no, it's not. It was like 25, like Bonnie said.
It's on the back of your hand when you do that.
I know, right? That's how not plugged in I am. And again, I'm assuming that's where the sale came from. It could have come from somewhere else, but since it happened during the campaign, presumably that's where it came from. And I didn't spend any money though. I didn't spend a dime unless you count my monthly fee for the Adobe Suite. That's all I spent. Didn't hire a designer, didn't do anything. All of the pictures that I got were free pictures, probably off of Pexels.com, I think. Didn't have to buy those, didn't have to do anything. So was it all worth it? I think so. Because if I keep it up and if I'm consistent about it, eventually it's going to land. So going back to our Bitly links, I got, so Heartless was the red one, and I got 30 clicks on my Bitly link for that. The other one, the Little Insurrection, I got 15 clicks on my hot link for that. Not overwhelming, not a huge number, but the cool part about it, like I would have preferred 10,000. Sure, that would have been great. But I know how many because with Bitly, I'm tracking them. That's the great thing about the Bitly links is you can go in anytime you want to and see how many people are clicking that link. So the metrics are there, and that's really, really helpful. And now I have and the most important part about all this and about this page is now I have information. Now I have something that I can work with. What worked? What didn't work? Okay, this kind of was good. This kind of wasn't. All right, now I've got something to work with a little bit. And that's super important. Remember that none of the 2 that I showed you were video. Those were all just still images. Maybe if they were video, that would have changed things. I don't really know. They were very specific markets. A Little Insurrection is a YA contemporary, and Heartless is a YA horror. That's a very narrow kind of thing that I'm trying to thread. So maybe it didn't sell because of the covers, or maybe the blurb, or maybe it was too expensive or not expensive enough, or maybe, we don't know. Way to know that, I don't know why people didn't make purchases, except for that one person, but I still have this information to work with, which I think is good. This is a book trailer for my novel, Hellworld. It's gonna be all shaky, and if you watch it on your phone or on YouTube, it won't look like this. But I just want to give you, the reason I'm showing you this is to emphasize again how little investment it's going to take to make something cool. This looks a lot better when you don't see it all. And I spent exactly $0 on this trailer. This is all stuff that was free. That cool, like zoom in thing, like over the desert, that was free. This crazy stuff there is free. This picture of the earth is free. Again, the only thing I'm paying for here, the music was free. The only thing I'm paying for is that monthly fee to Adobe, and that's it. And you can learn how to do all this stuff on YouTube, which is mostly what I did. I don't know if Tumblr is really of any use. I just sort of automatically cross-post to there because it's there. But one thing I did learn, I don't know if I put it on here, is that it appears as though important hashtags in Tumblr are not the same as important hashtags in Twitter or in Instagram. There are you can still use them. For example, let's say bookshelf. Okay, maybe on Instagram, if I hashtag bookshelf, nobody cares, no one's searching for it. But I hashtag bookshelf on Tumblr and 1,000 people are looking for it. And you're like, what the, okay. And so It's weird. So you need to go to your different places, all to your different medias, and figure out which ones are trending or working well in that medium. It's very strange. I just discovered this because I've just been blindly sending stuff to Tumblr because I have the accounts. I was like, what the hell, let's send it. But it's a very different group. I think there are a lot more like serious literature people and like artists and things like that. It's a very different kind of group than is on Instagram or that is on Twitter. Or if they're on all of those sites, what they're doing there is very different. I've been posting stuff on Twitter, you guys. I've been on Twitter since like day one and nobody cares. I post stuff all the time, left and right, nobody cares. I wrote one post about when I'm elected president, I'm going to have a national standard for Tupperware and their lids. And that's what we need. And I got like 10 likes off. I'm like, buy the book! Why does that? Because it's Twitter, and that's what Twitter likes. And so now I'm like, I gotta change what I post now. And I was told this actually from a very successful comic book artist here in town who raises hundreds of thousands of dollars every time he does a Kickstarter. And he does one like every couple of months, and it's insane. And we had to talk about that, and he was like, well, don't sell on Instagram. I'm like, well, but it's a thing, I gotta say. It's like, nobody cares. Nobody buys on Instagram. They don't. If you're selling comic books, you have to be on Facebook because that's where all the middle-aged white guys are buying comic books. It's like, like, who knew? How do you find this stuff out? You find out by networking and learning stuff. That's how you find out. I have posted endless things on Twitter about my book and tried to post the cool pictures and all this kind of stuff. And guess what? Nobody cared. No retweets, no likes, no anything. I make one offhanded comment about Tupperware and it blows up, right? And it's because that Tupperware joke, for as terrible as it might be, is now a relationship. And now people are paying attention. I come at them swinging my big heavy sticks of book covers and buy my book and all that kind of stuff. Silence. Every once in a while, once they're paying attention and you've got them, absolutely. Because I was selling way, way, way too much. Way too much. What else? Okay, so what is a waste? Was all that a waste? No, it was not a waste. So I have 3 different primary Facebook pages. I've got my personal Facebook page that it's kind of half personal, half professional because I just post all kinds of stuff. Then I have an author page, which is facebook.com/author Tom Leveen, and that's got almost 1,000. So you guys need to go there tonight. Push me over the edge. And that's very focused on the books and some of my writing classes. And then I've got a subgroup from that's maybe 200 people. And those are the people I know, like, they're gonna buy stuff. Those are my hardcore, those are towards the 1,000 that I'm looking for. The third one, the smaller one. I don't even remember. I think it's the author Tom Leveen fan and reader page or something like that. I don't even remember what it's called because I don't really promote it. I don't push people toward it. It's more of an organic thing. And that's the other thing is all of these likes that I've gotten, all these followers are completely organic. I have not paid for any of these. It's all just people coming in. And I don't do a lot of the follow back stuff. I'm not opposed to it. I will do it, but only if the person I'm following is somebody I would actually want to pay attention to. If this is not your first time here, what is Sheri's #1 rule about YouTube? Bam! Just do it. That's 2 for 2.
Because I am a very good student.
That's right. Not doing it isn't going to work. So like I'm not super pleased with that number of link clicks or how many books I sold or whatever. Like that's a bummer. That's a bummer. But I did it and it's one more than the person who didn't go on Instagram did, so it's still a win. So, now, what does all that have to do with YouTube? Let's back up. So these images, I think we talked about this already because we skipped ahead a little bit, were clickable videos, okay? And they were commercial. For these, if I remember correctly, these were fairly informal. Like I was sitting on the floor in my office and just holding the phone out and just did a quick, hey, you guys, come, blah, 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 whatever the pitch was. It wasn't a set and like lights and all that kind of stuff. It was very casual, very informal. And again, the link went back to my YouTube channel or to that specific post. This story got 82 views. 82 is not Pew De Pie levels, I understand. But it's a lot better than some of my other ones where I'm sitting at 3s and 4s, okay? So something worked and something about the videos or the images or both at least sent people there. And now I've got more people on my YouTube channel, which is where I want them more than anything. Building audience, building trust, building relationships. We just talked about that a minute ago with the Twitter thing. This is really the main thing. Followers are great, but if you're not interacting with them, it doesn't matter. If you're not building a relationship with them, it doesn't matter. Again, when we talked at the beginning about those 1,000 fans, that's all we need. We only need 1,000 people, and sometimes even less, depending on what your business is, to have a viable business. business, I can quit my day job level business. And it's gonna be about this one-on-one contact with people and engaging with them. And if they say something to you, man, you better be right there, Johnny on the spot, liking them back and saying thank you or engaging with them as much as humanly possible. And always be branding. Anybody notice this? Every page at Tom Leveen, because that's where you can find me on Twitter and Instagram. And basically, as long as you spell my last name right, you'll find me everywhere. That is the main thing. I will say that this is a very long process. It's not an overnight thing. That we were talking about before everybody got here about this guy who went from a couple hundred videos or views to 1 million because somebody caught something and it went viral, and now he's this, making all this money on YouTube. Cool. I don't get it, but all right. Could that happen to you? Yes. Could it happen to me? Yes. Is it likely? Probably not. And so the stuff we're learning here, hopefully, is to do what everybody else is doing, which is the slow, gradual, consistent build. Sheri has previously talked about, I'm sure most of you have heard her talk about consistency and scheduling. I have not done that. So if you wonder, well, why don't you have more views? It's because I film 3 videos and then I take a month off to do something else, and then I come back and post one, and oh yeah, I should probably put that up. And that's why it's not working. Virtually, and I can't quote anybody on this, but I feel like all the stuff that I have read, people who post 3 to 4, maybe even 5 times a week on the regular get the subscriptions and they get the views. That's just how it works out. So January, I've got a whole thing. I've actually got a schedule now. You'd be very proud of me. And my approach is sort of a multi-pronged thing because I've got 2 primary businesses. I'm selling fiction, I'm selling my books, and then I'm also, I guess, selling, for lack of a better term, selling writing advice or courses or classes. So 2 very kind of distinct funnels, or whatever you want to call them. On the writing side, the teaching side, I have a page on Fiverr, which if you haven't heard of that, that's a place you go and you can buy services for just about anything: marketing, writing, design, anything you can possibly think of. And what I'm selling there is critiques for the first page of your novel or critiques of your query letter to go to agents. And it's $10. And I do that, and that's a nice little side gig that I've got over there. I'm also on a site called Udemy, which is a teaching site. There's another one called Teachable that I am not on, but it's a similar idea where people are paying, $20 or whatever to take an online course from me that I don't have to do anything. Once I've shot it and edited it, made it look pretty and uploaded it, I'm done, and Udemy takes over, and it's great. Not making quit my day job money, but it's consistently coming in, and the more I do it and the bigger my YouTube and my Instagram and my Facebook and my Twitter get, the bigger that stuff is gonna get as well.
Are you on Udemy about writing?
Yes, that's all about writing. It's all about writing. Absolutely. I've got 3 classes on there right now. 3, 4, at least 3. I don't remember exactly. And then the other thing about, and we talked a little bit about this as we go into January and my big plans, I actually have a document called Vast Media Empire, because that's my plan for January, is I'm going to build a vast media empire. Yes?
I just want to add, this one artist I love, she has classes and videos on Patreon too.
Patreon. I was on Patreon, and I had 14 or 15 patrons, which doesn't sound like a lot, but I was banking $145 a month, and I shut it down. And I kind of regret that I shut it down, but I shut it down because it just didn't sit with me. That relationship with those people did not feel right. I want you to buy the book, cool. But now we got into a thing where it's well, I have to write something every week or every month, and it has to be for you, and the relationship, it's a great place. Patreon is a completely valid platform. I think it's a good one, and it can work. And I sure wish I had $145 every month coming in, but the relationship did not feel quite right to me, and that's why I stopped. But that's me. Yeah, patreon.com. And what it is, are you familiar with Kickstarter? Okay, so it's similar to Kickstarter, only instead of kickstarting a project, someone is basically subscribing to you. And in exchange, and there are levels just like in Kickstarter, it could be $1, $5, $50, whatever, and they're paying that automatically usually every month. And in exchange, you are giving them a song or an album or a book or a chapter or a design, whatever it is that you're typically a service of some kind, typically artistic. And it's modeled on the idea of and the Renaissance of Michelangelo, paint this for me, here's some money. And great, and he'll go and do it because that lets him do what he wants to do. And that's the idea behind Patreon. It's a great platform. It wasn't working for me. Some days I regret it, and some days I don't. And trying to thread that needle is what we're all trying to do with YouTube, with Instagram, with all these various platforms. I think I'm getting closer. This year, I think it'll be a better year this year than this past year was because I'll be able to invest the time into it, the consistency into it, and all those kinds of things. So I'll see you here next year, and we'll see how it went. But I'm not really. We'll see. What else? That's pretty much my. I'm at the end of my. Yep. See. So what else do you have, Sheri? Yeah, just do it. Just do it.
Thank you all for coming.
Like the original draft and then the published draft and then critique them and like pull them apart like, oh. But at some point, like many creators, myself included, once the internet kind of happened and these kinds of resources became available, people were like, peace out, I'll do it myself. And they're making all kinds of